Going to do a few questions on trickier difference two squares, difference two cubes, sum of two cubes. Now just take your time and remember that if you have the difference two squares, once you have everything kind of square written as a square and a minus between them, and just throw down first minus the second, bracket first plus the second. And if I look at here, that's written as a square, so that's my first, and that's written as a square, so that's my second. So I'm going to throw down my two brackets. It's the first minus the second, bracket the first plus the second. If you wanted to check if you were right or wrong, you could multiply it out. So there are the factors there. Again, with I think it's the sum of two cubes. Yeah, so with the sum of two cubes, I want to make sure I've taken down right. You need to make sure everything is written as a cube. So here's the thing on my left. Yes, it's written as a cube. If we look at what's on my right, the C is the only thing written as a cube. So I need to rewrite this. So I have A plus B to be cubed plus, now 8 rewritten as something cubed is 2 cubed. So we can either write it as 2 cubed C cubed, or you could also write it as 2c to b cubed. Now think about it, they are the same thing. 2 cubed is 8c cubed, or 2c to be cubed is 2c by 2c by 2c, which is 8c cubed. I now have my first and my second. I throw down my two brackets. Well, this time second bracket's a bit longer because it's the sum of two cubes. So it's the first plus the second. It's the first squared minus the first times the second plus the second squared. Okay, so I have my, now it's all rewritten, ready to go. First plus the second. It's the first to be squared minus the first, it's going to take a lot of cleaning up, times the second plus the second squared. So is there any way to clean up this bracket? No. Okay, so it's the second bracket we need to clean up. This is probably the easiest part to clean up because you have 2c times a, 2c times b. Be very careful, that minus is going to impact everything after it. Okay, I'll explain why if you need to. This needs to be squared out and this needs to be squared out. Again, this is probably the easy as well over here. We have 2c to be squared is 2c by 2c, which gives me 4c squared. Stuff that you can't do in your head, do in a rough work section. So a plus b to be squared, take it to the side, write it as a plus b by a plus b, and you'd end up with a squared plus ab plus ab plus b squared. Feel free to pause the video and work it out for yourself. And then that cleans up to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared minus, I have 2c by a, I'm just going to say that's 2ac in alphabetical order, and I have 2c by b, which is 2bc in alphabetical order. So there we go, that minus, I'm subtracting all of that. That's why I'm finishing my little bracket here. And then plus 2c squared is 2c by 2c, which is 4c squared. I still think this can be cleaned up, so this first bracket can't. I have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared minus 2ac minus 2bc plus 4c squared. Is there any way I can clean any of that up? I don't think so. So that's it. And if you multiply that out, you would get this. These are tricky questions. Okay. Again, very unlikely to come up. And if they do, they'll be worth 5 or 10 marks. And, you know, some people can afford to lose 5 or 10 marks. Just make sure you attempt the question. Like this one, I would be saying, oh, look, this looks like the difference of 2 cubes. So I'd be throwing down my brackets and I'd at least be writing down, you know, I know what the difference of 2 cubes is. It's the first plus the second. Sorry, that's the sum of 2 cubes. I know what the difference of 2 cubes is. It's the first minus the second. It's the first squared plus the first times the second plus the second squared. So even if you write that down, and we have this is written as a cube and all of this is already written as a cube. So it's the first minus the second bracket, the first squared, plus the first times the second, plus the second squared. Sorry now, it's gone off the page. That can be definitely cleaned up, that first bracket. I end up with a, that minus, so I'm subtracting all of this. So that leaves me with minus b minus c, a squared, and then we have bracket the first times the second, which is plus ab plus ac plus the second squared. Again, I don't want a big mess here, so I would take that to the side and multiply it out. B plus c by b plus c, you'd end up with b squared plus bc plus bc plus c squared, which cleans up to be b squared plus 2bc plus c squared. Do not believe me, work it out for yourself. Just take it to the side and work it out for yourself. Can this bracket be cleaned up any further? No. Can this one be cleaned up any further? No. So these are the two factors that multiply to give you this. Again, if you don't believe me, multiply it out and you would see that you would get what you originally started with. Tricky questions.